lovely people, this is Milena. Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to talk about why men sometimes freak out when we share things that can be perceived as problems with them. It just so happens that very often when we share something with them, we don't get the reaction that we expected, wanted, or had hoped for. We're going to talk about why this happens and what are some simple, easy steps that we can take to ensure that we actually do get the support and the reaction that we had hoped for. A huge aspect of any relationship is sharing and communication, and that is important to most of us. It is very natural for it to be that way. But very often when we share things with our partners, things don't exactly end up the way we had hoped. Here is one of the reasons why. When something is perceived as a problem, something bad happens. Let's say you had a bad day, you're not feeling good, you have some sort of negative interactions with your boss, coworker, whatever it is that can be perceived as a problem. One of the first things that happens in the man's brain, although most of the time subconsciously, which means they're not aware of it, is that they feel responsible. Now, this goes way back thousands of years ago in the male collective consciousness, but they do feel responsible when there's some sort of a problem. Why? Because they perceive their role as the protectors, as the caretakers of the family unit, of the tribe, of whoever it is that they perceive to be responsible for. So when there is a problem, when they feel responsible, and in today's day and age, they actually aren't, we're all responsible for ourselves, they start feeling guilty and helpless. Now, I need to start by saying that a lot of those things would be generalizations. That doesn't mean that it's true for every single man out there. There are exceptions, but there is one general line that is very helpful for us to look at and maybe make some tweaks around so that we do get the interactions and the responses in our relationships that we had hoped for. Now, guilt is not a very good place to be. How we handle guilt oftentimes, if we don't know how to process it, is we start feeling helpless and we start projecting it outward, which means one of several things might happen. They might start blaming us and telling us that it's our fault or that we should have done things differently, or they might start telling us what we can do to fix it. And that is the second part of them feeling responsible. Because they feel responsible to anything bad pretty much happening, any problem, they also feel responsible to fix it. But because they can't, because it's our life and our things and it's actually our responsibility, they start feeling hopeless and helpless. And this is why we don't feel the supportive, loving reaction that we had hoped for, and instead we feel blamed, we feel accused or criticized, or we feel like we're being told what to do and how to fix it. That leaves us feeling confused because we're thinking, I was just sharing, what on earth is this? All I wanted was to be heard, maybe to be given a hug and be told that everything is going to be okay, and something completely different happened. Now, men are also very structured in the way they do things. This is one of their main characteristics. They create structure, they follow structure, they build structure. That means that if we start sharing things with them and they start perceiving it as a problem, it feels like a heavy burden or load. If they don't know how long we're going to be sharing for, why we're sharing, what is it that we're looking to get out of it, they start feeling really helpless and frustrated, and this is when we start getting all of those negative reactions. There are several simple steps that we can take in order to avoid that and get a completely different response. The very first thing is, and that's something that we need to do beforehand, before we start sharing, if we can remember, and I highly recommend that we do, is to say why we're sharing and what we're hoping to get out of it. We can just say, I had a bad day. Is it okay if I just share some things with you because I want to get it out of my system? I need to talk through it. I don't need you to do anything about it. Just hold space for me. I know I'm going to feel a million times better afterwards. That is already providing the structure that they need. They're going to understand that, they can work with that, and things are going to flow a lot more smoothly. It's also very helpful if we give them some sort of a period of time that we're going to be talking for. We can say, I just need 5 minutes to express that, and then I'm going to be fine, or I need a couple of minutes to talk about it. Could you please just listen? They can work with that structure really comfortably, and then they're going to be amazing at holding that structure, that space for you to do exactly what you've told them that you need. Another thing that we can do is to get them out of feeling responsible for fixing our problems is to tell them that we are going to figure things out and that we kind of know what we want to do, but what really helps us to get to the best place, the best decision about what to do is to talk through it, maybe while they're holding that space for you. So basically, you're already telling them, I'm going to figure things on my own. I'm absolutely capable of doing that. I just need a sounding board, somebody that I can talk to as I'm going through it. When we might actually need some sort of advice or we want our opinion, one way that has worked really well for me is to create a completely different setup. And I will say, can you just imagine that I am so-and-so, and I would name one of his best friends, and I'm in a particular situation. Can you tell me, in this case, what would you say to this person? And I would paint the picture and I would express the situation, and then they would be able to give me a really, really, really good, amazing piece of advice that feels so much more loving and supportive than what I would have usually gotten if I had not created that initial setup to alleviate that sense of responsibility, needing to fix it. Another thing that we can do is you can say, I just want to get a different perspective on something that I'm looking at or experiencing, or I want to get a male perspective. I can assure you that if we start our sharing, our conversations, whatever it is that we're looking for, in a way that takes care of those important elements, we are going to be getting a lot more positive responses, and our relationships ultimately are going to improve, because that's going to help us feel so much more loved, supported, understood. And if you're not quite sure how to handle a particular situation in your personal relationship, book a session at askmilena.com. Don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter for free tools like this one and the ebook 7 Life Hacks that can empower your daily life. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Give me a like if you like this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.